welcome to Bike World.
On this week's show, Suzy gets muddy in a field in Lincolnshire. Plus, I chat to some big names from the world of racing, and we both get to have some fun on some modern classics.
Here's what's coming up.
We're excited here on Bike World because we have our biggest ever competition for you this week, and we're going to give you a chance to win a scooter.
I check out the latest off-road bike from China and see if we should be taking their bikes more seriously.
Plus, we take a look at a couple of bikes that combine the best retro looks with modern technology, and look at how you can make them your own.
But first, it's time for Luke to hit the red carpet in London's West End.
So we're at the Electric Cinema on Portobello Road in London for the premiere of iSuperbiker, The War for Four, the film which will recapture all the excitement, thrills and drama of the 2013 British Superbike season. Now obviously we can't show you the whole film due to the fact it's, well, 1 hour 30 minutes long, and this is the exclusive press screening and it's not out for a couple of months, but what we can do is whet your appetite while we go check it out and we'll chat to some of the stars afterwards.
A lot of emphasis has been put on the fact that Keogh and I both have 3 titles and there's a war for 4.
Hold on to your seats, it's going to get bumpy.
If you want to be the best, you have to put your life into being the best.
The lights are out. Go, go, go.
Okay, so the first person I've managed to grab, and quite aptly, is Matt Roberts. Obviously, Matt, formerly of MotoGP on the BBC, now hosting British Superbikes and World Superbikes this year for Eurosport. How did you enjoy the film?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was really good to relive the whole of last season. Obviously, I watched pretty much all of it, but with MotoGP commitments, I couldn't watch every race live and get really into it as much as I would have liked. So it was good refresher for me for this year. It's not often that you see a film that features sort of 200 miles an hour racing and then a baby scan, you know. But it had a bit of everything in there. It was really nice to see some, as you said, the personal stories, and that, you know, a lot of the time for me is what makes bike racing not so interesting. I mean, it's great to watch anyway, but there is a human side to it that sometimes people don't see, and the characters and you know, to me, bike racing more than any other racing gets to the heart of people, and what you see out on track is a lot more than just bikes going around.
Fearless skill, wheel-to-wheel action and tight racing.
If you're not in the showdown, you're well out of the chance of winning the championship. For the Samson Honda team, that's not an option.
3 more and that big trophy's ours.
So up next, I have a face that anyone who has been to a British Superbike round or involved with racing by this will know. It is Mark Sloper, owner of the 400 Club and director of the wonderful film we have just watched.
Oh,
Mark.
Good. I'm glad you found it wonderful.
Oh, it's amazing. It's got bike racing in. How would it not be good? But first up, congratulations on the movie. So those who maybe haven't seen an iSuperbiker movie before, explain a little bit about the concept.
Well, what we do at the beginning of the season, we just have a think about, you know, who the most interesting sort of characters and racers might be for the season. And obviously, you know, you have to have the winner. But we sort of also look at the championship as a whole. And again, I followed the story of Ellison and Bridewell because I find them very interesting and they've got very strong backstories. Tommy, unfortunately, you know, racing on honour of his dead brother, Ollie, and James Ellison this year, returning from MotoGP, but has, you know, the cloud over his head. He's about to have a baby, and I actually think that probably affects their racing capabilities. So the film tries to explore the, you know, the inner thoughts that go on in their head of the racing mentality.
Win, that's our only aim.
The 4th means the world to me.
Oh, good heavens, he's got hit from behind.
I definitely want to be challenging for the championship.
Brooks up the inside of it, that's going to be close. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. Oh, big crash.
Oh no, this is Shaky Burns snatching the lead from Josh.
Oh, he's off, he's off. Down. Oh.
Okay, with me another start of the film, Mr. James Hayden. Now, James, how did you enjoy it for a start?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was my favourite one so far, actually. You know, I liked the way it was sort of mixed up a little bit more and not quite as regimented in order and stuff. And it was a great tale as well, wasn't it? So it was lovely to relive it.
Well, I mean, obviously you were there at every round, commentating on it. You're massively featuring in the film as well, and I think you've touched on there exactly what makes it special. It shows you a little bit behind the scenes, a bit more of the family stories, and what really makes the riders tick.
Very much so, and it's kind of nice to get away. It's not just all about bikes, you know. You see in their personal life, and whether it be Ellison and their baby, and just sort of getting a bit more of the, you know, sort of behind the scenes of the characters they are, and just, you know, you almost forget as well that building up to that last Brands weekend, you know, the pressure, the conditions, and Alex, you know, just riding superb to beat Shaky around there and take the crown.
Well, it was so cool watching it back, actually. You forget some of the crucial moments. I mean, when Lowe's had contact with Shaky and Shaky had the big offer, 150 mile an hour, what a turning point that was, and how he managed to turn himself around in 2 weeks and get back on a bike.
Oh, very much so. I mean, all those highs and lows, and Alex going out at Brands, and you think of the championship Shaky's, then Shaky crashes when he never crashes, and you know, all these sort of things adding up. No, it was really good, really enjoyable, and you know, I hope it's a big success.
This is The Real Rush.
Oh, and that's a crash by Alex Lowe.
A mechanical breakdown or a crash or something like that, and the game's over.
So with me I have one of them, their stars of the big screen. It is Tommy Bridewell, obviously one of the gentlemen who featured in iSuperbiker at the War for Four. For a start, what was it like watching that and seeing last year on a big screen?
Yeah, fantastic film, you know, really good, in depth, and obviously the strong racing really comes out in a great light. So it's really sort of interesting to see, you know, different interviews in different sort of angles of it all, and obviously the reaction of the crowd and so on is really good. You know, when you're just a rider in racing the bike, you don't really see that. Obviously, you just get on and do your job. But yeah, no, I thought Mark Sloper got a great insight to it, and yeah, it came out really good.
Having just watched the film, Stuart Higgs, race director of BSB, you must have the best job in the world looking after all that. Look, it's amazing racing, isn't it?
It's incredible how all these months on you really do remember and get the emotion stirred, because not just the whole season, but as it came to that climax on that final day, the tension going into that final race, Brands Hatch Race 3 in October, was, as they say, palpable. I mean, the weather had been just truly horrendous over the weekend, and you know, there was a small moment 20 minutes before the start procedure that I won't say it was marginal, but it was getting close to marginal. But we had a small weather window, and it'd been very difficult. And you know, I can't even now begin to contemplate what had happened if we couldn't have run that final race. But you know, it was an incredible year. It was the Master v the Apprentice, and as we've often scripted, you know, you think it was going to be between, say, Shane and Keogh, that War for Four that was plotted, but you know, it never works out like that. There's always some other subplot, and you know, who'd have thought that Tommy Bridewell would ride for 3 teams? And you know, much as Alex came to the fore at the end of the 2012 season, I see some similarities with Tommy Bridewell. I see him gaining momentum, and I think going into 2014, just beginning to now ponder what the plot's going to be for this year. You know, I think we've got this incredible mix once again, and you know, iSuperbiker Jive for 5, I think it's going to be now. So.
iSuperbiker, the War for 4, the documentary of the MCE British Superbike Championship, coming to cinemas soon.
So there you have it. iSuperbiker, the War for 4 is out in cinemas on the 10th of April, which is just, what, 8 days before the British Superbike season starts. So a great way for you to go to the cinema, get your mates into bike racing and whet your appetite for the 2014 season.
Now, you know that we love our custom bikes here at Bike World, and last year we were really inspired when we headed into London to check out the Bike Shed Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, the cafe racer scene here in the UK is absolutely booming, but the problem with taking a bike from the 60s, like a BMW R90 or an old classic Ducati, and turning it into a bespoke one-off cafe racer just for you, is that, well, it's from the 60s. It's got old components and old parts, old brakes and old suspension. And unfortunately, you're just as likely to end up at the side of the road waiting for the AA as you are to turn up on your pride and joy at your favourite cafe.
Or what if, like me, your idea of hell is spending all your spare time in the shed tinkering with your bike when you'd much rather be out there riding it? Well, we may have a solution for you, which still gives you all the retro styling with the advantage of it being a new bike, something which you can still add your own personal touch to.
Yeah, now there's been quite a lot of entries into the modern cafe racer market in the last few years. You've got the Moto Guzzi V7 Racer, the Kawasaki W800, plus the new Yamaha SR400. And old Muggins here, she quite liked the Royal Enfield GT she found at the London Motorcycle Show.
Yeah, but when it comes to classic cafe racer looks, you'd be hard pushed to find anything better than the original Triumph Bonneville.
Very true, and the great thing is that in 2001, Triumph actually re-released the Bonneville, keeping all of those classic looks from the 60s, but using modern components, modern brakes and modern suspension. And then 2 years later, they brought out 2 variations on the Bonnie, which were the Thruxton and the Scrambler. Same engine, same chassis, but as you can see, very different styling.
And luckily for me and Luke, over the last couple of weeks, we've been spending some time with them. Well, firstly, if you think that price is going to be a deciding factor on these 2 bikes, then it isn't. They both cost the same at £7,349.
And they both basically share the same components, obviously based around the revamped Bonneville. But the Thruxton produces an extra 10 horsepower at 68 horsepower. For a bike that weighs 230 kilos, that may not sound like a lot, but actually it's quite a lot of fun. With a Scrambler, they've only given it 58 brake horsepower, and while it shares a 50 pound-foot of torque with the Thruxton, it's got a 270-degree crank compared to the Thruxton 360-degree crank, and that makes the engine sound a little bit rougher, a bit more of a retro feel, but just gives it a little bit more kick in the lower and mid-range. Now, Suzy, while they may be mechanically very similar, they're obviously styled very differently. And when they turned up, which one did you prefer?
Well, obviously the Scrambler. You know, I love the look of an off-road bike. although I wouldn't want to take it off-road. But with its knobbly tyres, its upright riding position, I love the look of the exhaust.
It is rather cool, it's got to be said, and I was kind of really taken aback by the Thruxton. It evokes those kind of classic Isle of Man TT memories. It's a proper cafe racer.
But styling apart, what did you find them like to ride?
Do you know what, actually? I was really, really impressed with them. I thought it would be like getting on an old bike, really underpowered, not a lot of excitement, bad handling, bad brakes, but obviously it's a modern bike. You get on it straight away, and while 68 horsepower may not sound like a lot, it actually produces the same amount of torque as Yamaha's new MT-07.
So I know there's only 10 brake horsepower difference, and that shouldn't really make much of a difference. But when I was riding that, I think it's because I was in that enthusiastic riding position, I felt like it was a lot faster.
Actually, Susie, this is where I was surprised, because I thought I would just be in love with the Thruxton, not only for its styling, but as you say, its racing position, the fact it's got a little bit more power. But what they did with the crank and the way that they've tuned the engine on the Scrambler, I think it actually makes it almost more of a fun bike to ride. It feels like you're getting on an oversized BMX.
See, I think it's a bike that you would just potter around on. I was having a little sing to myself as I was riding along. It's got nice wide handlebars. I think it would be a great bike for a new rider.
Now, one of the big things, Suze, obviously with the cafe racer market, or the whole kind of retro custom building bike scene, is the ability to create a bike that personifies you. And that's where I think the Triumphs have a bit of a trump card up their sleeves, because since these bikes were launched, a whole custom scene has emerged. And that's why we've come here to Jack Lilly Triumph to find out more. Okay, so with me now I have David Lilly, grandson of Jack Lilly, and a man who knows a thing or two about Triumphs. David, we were just talking about the fact that the cafe racer scene is booming here in the UK, but a whole scene has come up itself around these three Triumphs, the Bonneville, Thruxton and Scrambler. Why do you think that is?
It's just a way for people to express themselves. There's so many parts available now.
Well, this bike is a bit special. We're going to get onto this in just a second, but I think a lot of people would be interested to know that, well, I suppose the people who are into the scene, because it's not just your older guys that are buying these bikes, is it?
No, it's not the bearded, sandalled geezers.
Well, you do get a few of those, I'm guessing?
You do, yeah, we do every so often. But, you know, Eric, who owns that one, I would guess he's late 40s.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, if you're not. It's just, I don't know, it's just a way of expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And he actually wants to respray this now in a graphite with the yellow, just to give it a refresh. And
just give it as a change, as you say, make a complete one-off bike. And I think, well, that's the whole point of the customising scene, isn't it? To make a bike that is specifically for you. And there are so many ways to go about this. And actually, we've got two examples here. The Scrambler that you're sitting on is an example of a guy who has bought the bike and then started to modify it bit by bit, isn't it?
Indeed.
So talk us through a few things he's done on this, because I really like it. I mean, first up, I noticed it has been lowered, hasn't it?
Has been lowered, yeah.
Is he a short guy or is he a big guy?
No, he's not. He's probably similar height to yourself.
Oh, wicked.
We fitted the Arrow exhaust.
Yeah, the 2-into-1 works very nicely on that, doesn't it?
And sounds absolutely fantastic. Released some of the character. He's changed the handlebars. We powder coated the wheels black, because this originally would have had silver wheels.
Now, this is a great example of someone who has bought the bike and then gradually made little changes that are making a big difference to obviously the visual impact of the bike overall. How long has your customer spent actually doing this bike up?
I would imagine Andy's probably spent about 7 months in total doing this. Just bit by bit, and over time you can sort of see it evolve and just change from that to this.
There's another option. If you've got a little bit more cash up front and you want to make a very special one-off bespoke bike like this, they can come to you and you will build them one, won't they?
We can, yeah.
Well, because let's talk about this. This started life as a standard Thruxton, which, as you can see, you know, behind me kind of thing, it looks really different now. And did you actually have to make these fairings yourself?
No, that's actually from a company in the UK called Norman Hyde.
Okay, cool. So they actually did the fairings. What else has been changed? I mean, the handlebars look incredible.
Yeah, handlebars, Ace bars there from America. Got the Monza-style fuel cap, the cam cover just sprayed yellow, powder coated the wheels black. He's actually just had some lettering done on the tyres. It says Brit Iron.
Nice.
Again, just little touches for him.
Now, this bike looks like it could be a classic bike worth about £30,000-40,000 to be buying at auction. And bearing in mind that this brand new as a bike is £7,349, how much did this cost in total?
In the region of 10 and a half.
So in other words, he has got a complete one-off bespoke bike for the price of, in fact, less than a normal 675R.
Yeah, indeed.
While the last two we've seen, the Thruxton and the Scrambler, have been based on the original models with parts added to it, people can also come to you and get a completely bespoke, custom-built bike like this bobber.
Indeed, yeah. We built this actually a couple of years ago now. I fancied sort of doing something like this, so we found a company to make us a frame. I bought a Bonneville as the donor bike, and then over sort of time thinking about how we wanted it to look. It's still available for sale, but really, I love it so much, I'm not fussed if it sells or if it doesn't sell.
How much did this cost?
16 in total.
£16,000, you can get a dealer to make you a specific, bespoke, handmade frame bike like this, which is pretty spectacular.
It is, yeah.
So Suzy, while a lot of people may say these aren't true classic old bikes, what I think we've done is found two bikes that really do bring you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you've got all the retro styling of an old bike, but the practicality and reliability of a new bike. So in other words, all the charm and none of the grief. Did you know that over 50% of the bikes on this planet are made in China? In fact, we ride more bikes in the UK made in China than we do from Japan. Okay, so those figures may be related to the budget scooter sales, and you may have heard some horror stories. And that's why Chinese manufacturers haven't been taken that seriously. Yet. And I say yet because that could all be about to change. WK Bikes are at the forefront of the Chinese manufacturers in the UK, and they launched their first serious road bike back in 2012. It was so serious, in fact, that they raced it in last year's TT. The rate at which Chinese bikes are improving is astounding, and when I heard that they were launching a bike much more up my street, I thought I need to go and check it out. And here it is, the WK 450 RX. So we've been riding now for a good hour, and although I'm tired because my fitness isn't great, I really don't notice a difference with this WK at all from the RMs, the CRs that I've ridden, and it's loads of fun. Now I've had a few hours on the 450 this morning. I'm a little bit muddy, but that's more like it, hey? This is Henry, he's the manager of WK Bikes. Firstly, give us a bit of history on them.
WK Bikes we launched in the UK about 3 years ago now. Quadzilla Quads is our parent company, and we've been selling road legal quads to the UK for about 13 years now. So 3 years ago we decided to move into the two-wheel market.
Now last year saw the first Chinese bike to ever race in the TT, and you're heading back there this year, aren't you? So you must have done well last year.
Yeah, I mean it was a big learning curve for us last year. Obviously never been to the TT, never been to the island, and never produced a race bike before, but it was, yeah, as I say, a big learning curve. But again, this year we've taken on what we learned last year and hopefully improving on what we've done.
And now we've got this, the WK 450 RX, which is your first off-road bike, and it's a serious one. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the 450 RX, and like you say, it is a serious bit of kit. 450cc, 43 brake horsepower. This has got a Yoshimura exhaust system that we'll offer as an aftermarket special pipe. But yeah, it's got everything that all the competition have. Aluminium frame, 47mm upside down fork. So you can go anywhere, do anything with this bike.
So how much is this bike on the road then?
You're looking for, in standard trim, just over £4,000 on the road, but we do a special offer with a set of Supermoto wheels. So for £4,200, you get a dual-purpose bike that you can do on-road and off-road. So it's very desirable and something different for the marketplace.
A good value for money.
Definitely good value for money. And a lot of the stigma about Chinese products, obviously, is not just the quality, but the parts backup and the supply of parts through dealer networks, and that's where I think we offer much more than any other Chinese bike distributor. We have a good, strong dealer network. We stock over £1.5 million worth of parts here in the UK, so we can offer a dealer network parts on a next day service, and we can back up any product that we sell, hence why we put a 2-year warranty on all our WK products.
And you race in the AMCA Championship, don't you? So you know what to look for, what you want, what you need in a bike like this.
Yeah, I mean, off-road riding is my hobby, so I do that most weekends. So getting on this bike, I knew what it needed to feel like. I knew things straight away that needed to be changed, and so I'd like to think that I've got a good opinion about what's good and what's not on an off-road bike.
Well, now I think it's time we get back out on the bikes and have a bit more fun, because it's not been long enough.
No, let's go.
Yeah. reason I came here today was because I wanted to find out whether or not the WK compared favourably to other bikes in the market in the same category. And you know what? I think it does. After a few hours riding today, it's got bags of personality, it looks good, it sounds like a 450, which you may not expect. The overall feel of the bike feels amazing to me compared to other 450s that I've personally ridden. I know I'm not the best rider, but what's important is that I feel good on a bike and I enjoy riding it. And this delivers. 6.5 to 7.5k is a lot of money to spend on a bike, especially if you're new to enduro or trail riding, you don't even know whether or not you're going to like it. 4k seems like a steal, great value for money. And being a Chinese manufacturer, they're working extra hard to change people's opinions about them. So the aftercare is excellent. Would I buy this? No, I wouldn't, but that's all due to the fact that it's a 450. It's a bit of a lump for me. I wouldn't buy any 450, but luckily they're bringing out a 250 in the middle of the year, and that's the bike for me. Think of my new gear. Well, that's it for this show. Don't forget you can keep up to date with everything we're doing and stay in touch with us via Twitter and Facebook.
And if you want details on our incredible competition, all the latest news, or maybe just to catch up on some episodes you might have missed previously, head to bikeworld.co.uk.